Tommy Cooper was more than just a comedian, he was a cultural phenomenon, a man whose mere presence on stage could elicit laughter even before he uttered a word. With his towering frame, iconic fez, and a face seemingly carved from the very essence of comedy itself, Cooper became a staple of British entertainment, loved by millions for his slapstick humor and bumbling magic tricks that often seemed to go hilariously wrong. But beyond the laughter, behind the curtain of comedic genius, lay a man beset by personal demons, health issues, and a tragic end that would shock the world. Born on March 19, 1921, in Caerphilly, Wales, Thomas Frederick Cooper was destined for the spotlight, even if it wasn't immediately apparent. His early life was marked by a series of moves, the most significant being when his family relocated to Exeter, England, when he was just 3 years old. It was in Exeter that young Tommy's fascination with magic began to take root, spurred by a gift from his aunt, a magic set that would ignite a lifelong passion. Cooper's early years were a far cry from the glamorous life of an entertainer. He left school at a young age and worked as a shipyard apprentice, a job that was as physically demanding as it was unfulfilling for the young man with dreams of stardom. However, his heart was always in entertainment, and he would often perform magic tricks for friends and family, honing the skills that would one day make him a household name. World War II proved to be a turning point in Cooper's life. Drafted into the British Army, he was assigned to the Royal Horse Guards, where his comedic and magical talents were quickly recognized. Cooper became the regimental entertainer, performing for troops and boosting morale with his unique blend of humor and magic. It was during this time that he developed his distinctive style, an awkward, clumsy magician who seemed to fail at every turn, yet somehow always succeeded in making his audience laugh. After the war, Cooper faced the daunting task of breaking into the entertainment industry. His early career was a series of small gigs in clubs and theaters across the UK, where he slowly built a reputation as a magician with a difference. His big break came in 1947 when he was discovered by an agent while performing at a London club. This led to a series of television appearances, most notably on the BBC's Variety Bandbox, which showcased his unique talent to a wider audience. From there, Cooper's career took off, culminating in his own television show, Life with Cooper, which aired in 1957 and cemented his status as one of Britain's top comedians. The 1950s and 1960s were golden years for Tommy Cooper. His comedic style, which blended slapstick with self-deprecating humor and absurdity, was perfectly suited to the era's appetite for variety entertainment. Audiences were charmed by his seemingly hapless attempts at magic, tricks that appeared to go wrong at every turn, only for Cooper to pull off the most unexpected and hilarious of outcomes. Cooper's physical presence was as much a part of his act as his jokes and tricks. Standing at 6 feet 4 inches tall, with a booming voice and a face that could contort into 100 different expressions, he commanded the stage like few others. His fez became his trademark, an accessory that added to his bumbling, larger-than-life persona. The fez wasn't just a prop, it was a symbol of the man himself, quirky, unorthodox, and unforgettable. Despite his onstage persona as a bumbling fool, Cooper was a master magician. His act was carefully crafted, each mistake meticulously planned to maximize comedic effect. Yet, it was his ability to laugh at himself, to turn his supposed ineptitude into his greatest strength, that endeared him to audiences. His catchphrases, like "just like that," and "not like that," became part of the national lexicon, further solidifying his place in the hearts of the British public. Cooper was a regular fixture on television and in theaters throughout the UK. His television specials, such as the Tommy Cooper Hour and Cooper's Half Hour, were must-watch events, drawing millions of viewers. He was a frequent guest on popular shows like The Ed Sullivan Show in the United States and Sunday Night at the London Palladium in the UK. Cooper's humor transcended borders, making him one of the few British comedians to achieve international fame during that time. But it wasn't just television that made Cooper a star. He was also a favorite in variety shows, pantomimes, and live performances. His stage shows were legendary, often running over time as Cooper improvised and played off the audience's reactions. He had an uncanny ability to connect with people, making each performance feel personal and unique. Audiences loved him not just for his jokes, but for the man behind them, a man who, despite his success, seemed as approachable and down-to-earth as the characters he portrayed on stage. As is often the case with those who live to make others laugh, Tommy Cooper's personal life was far from the carefree image he projected on stage. Behind the scenes, he battled with alcoholism, a struggle that would ultimately take a significant toll on his health and career. Cooper's drinking was no secret, it was well known among his colleagues and friends, and it often led to erratic behavior, missed performances, and strained relationships. Cooper's marriage to Gwen Henty, affectionately known as Dove, was fraught with difficulties. The couple married in 1947 and had 2 children, Thomas and Vicky. However, the pressures of Cooper's career, coupled with his heavy drinking and infidelity, put a considerable strain on the marriage. Cooper was often away from home, touring or filming, leaving Dove to manage the household and care for the children. Despite the challenges, Dove remained by Cooper's side, supporting him through the ups and downs of his career. The 1970s brought new challenges for Cooper. The landscape of television was changing, with the rise of new forms of entertainment and a shift in audience tastes. Cooper's style of comedy, which had been so popular in the 1950s and 1960s, was starting to feel dated. Younger audiences were gravitating towards more modern forms of humor, leaving Cooper struggling to maintain his relevance in an increasingly competitive industry. Despite these challenges, Cooper continued to perform, albeit with less frequency than in his heyday. His health was also beginning to decline, exacerbated by years of heavy drinking and a punishing work schedule. Cooper suffered from heart problems, which became increasingly severe in the late 1970s and early 1980s. His once boundless energy was waning, and the strain of maintaining his public persona was taking its toll. In many ways, Cooper's struggles were emblematic of the difficulties faced by many performers of his generation. The pressure to constantly produce new material, to stay relevant in a rapidly changing industry, and to maintain a public image that often bore little resemblance to the reality of their lives, was immense. For Cooper, these pressures were compounded by his personal demons, leading to a life that, while filled with laughter, was also marked by significant pain and hardship. Tommy Cooper's life came to a sudden and shocking end on April 15, 1984, during a live television broadcast of the variety show Live from Her Majesty's. It was a night like any other, with Cooper taking the stage to perform his trademark blend of magic and comedy. The audience, both in the theater and at home, was eagerly anticipating another night of laughter and entertainment from one of their favorite performers. As Cooper began his act, everything seemed to be going according to plan. He launched into one of his classic routines, a magic trick that was supposed to culminate in a typically Cooper-esque punchline. But then, in the middle of the performance, Cooper suddenly collapsed on stage. At first, the audience and crew thought it was part of the act, a staged fall, perhaps, or a clever trick gone wrong. After all, Cooper had built a career on such moments of apparent failure. But this time, it wasn't a joke. Cooper had suffered a massive heart attack, collapsing in full view of millions of television viewers. The crew quickly realized something was wrong and rushed to his aid, but it was too late. Despite their efforts, Cooper was pronounced dead shortly after he was taken backstage. He was 63 years old. The footage of Cooper's final moments was never shown on television again, out of respect for the man who had brought so much joy to so many. His death was a profound shock to the nation, marking the end of an era in British comedy. Fans and fellow entertainers alike were devastated, struggling to come to terms with the sudden loss of one of Britain's most beloved figures. In the days following his death, tributes poured in from all over the world. Comedians, actors, magicians, and fans all paid homage to the man who had made them laugh for so many years. His funeral, held in his hometown of Exeter, was attended by thousands of mourners, including many of his colleagues and friends from the entertainment industry. It was a fitting send-off for a man who had dedicated his life to making others smile.